Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and this is the show that educates, empowers, entertains, and inspires you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. I believe it's never too late to embrace who you truly are, break through limitations, and live bold and strong. This show is your place for real conversations about health, fitness, mindset, and the courage it takes to live unapologetically. Each week, we bring you inspiring guests and actionable advice to help you take charge of your life. So let's get on with the show. I'm excited to talk about this subject today because I've been talking about it for a while and I suffered through it privately. And I'm just so happy that we are discussing this more in the forefront now and that it's not something we need to hide about. And it is menopause. When I was going through menopause, I had nobody to talk to. My doctors told me that it's just a way that our body's telling us we're getting older and really just deal with it. So I was 38 and I didn't know I was perimenopausal. I did think that this was a sign that I was starting to go through perimenopause, but nobody actually said that to me. Instead, they prescribed Prozac for me because they thought it would help with my depression and anxiety. And at the same time, I was going through some tough times in my marriage. So I was 38 at the time, and my daughters were 6 and 10. So if you have young children at home, you could understand what I was going through at the time. And I had a very demanding husband who is now my ex-husband, as you've heard me discuss. But navigating through menopause really scared the shit out of me because I saw what my mom went through, and she went through it in her early 30s, which is very, very early. So I feared I was going to go through it early as well, even though my doctors assured me that it's not a hereditary thing. Just because your mom went through it early doesn't mean that you're going through it early. So I thought, okay, yay for that. But when I started noticing that, like, I was just getting kind of irritated more often, I was getting a little bit of foggy brain, but the biggest change for me is that my periods were becoming irregular. And I was very grateful that I had my children because I thought, well, if I'm going through menopause, then it would have been really hard to get pregnant. And nobody talked about menopause. The only person I could talk to about it was my OBGYN. And he's the one who just said, hey, you're getting older, you're 38, and this is just deal with it. Just keep exercising and eating healthy, Jody, and you'll be just fine. I thought, but I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel just fine. So I went to my primary care provider, my PCP, and he's the one who suggested Prozac. Well, during that time, while my periods were irregular, while I was a little depressed and anxious, I started thinking, well, is it me? Is it my marriage? What do I need to do to make things better? And at the same time, I was diagnosed with hypertension, which is hereditary. It does run in my family. Me and my two sisters have it, and it is under control with medication. So then we had to decide, and they took me off of birth control. So I had all of these things going on at the age of 38, hypertension, going off birth control because that elevated my blood pressure, and just feeling cranky and kind of off. And the only thing that really helped me a lot, which is what you've heard me talk about over the last 4.5 years, is going to the gym really saved me. Working out 5 days a week, doing strength training, and being part of the community at the gym. And it wasn't until I've been talking about it in the last 10 years that I realized how important that community is. I didn't realize it in the time, right? So when we're going through a lot of stuff and it's really stretchy and it's like going through mud and it's really hard to get through and we don't think we're going to get through it, but it's there to show us something. So I didn't know that one of the benefits of going to the gym every day or 5 days a week was going to help me navigate through menopause maybe a little bit easier. It was going to help me get through the divorce I was going to go through years ahead. And I think there is a connection between going through menopause and marriage. The average age of a woman getting divorced is 40 years old. There's another study, there's another survey that shows that the average age is 45.8. So it's somewhere between 40 and 45.8, which is prime time to be experiencing perimenopause. Menopause affects marriages. And the more that we know about what happens to our mind and body during menopause, we can probably save a lot of marriages. Now, I'm not blaming perimenopause for my marriage failing, but if I knew more then, and if I knew then what I know now, maybe, well, I know what I would have done. I would have gotten my hormones checked. I would have said, are they not balanced? What do I need right now? I know that I'm working on my body, but what do I need from the neck up? But also, if my hormones aren't balanced, then we need to balance them because your hormones control everything. And I know that back in the 2000s, I got divorced in 2002, that nobody was talking about hormones, nobody was talking about menopause. So we women back then, we baby boomers, were really going through it alone. And I'm just so grateful that this generation of women in their 50s that are going through menopause now are sharing so many more things that can be done. And I'm hoping that me talking about being a postmenopausal woman can really help the women out there who feel like maybe it's too late. And if you're whoever is listening right now, for those ladies listening to this right now, if you are in your 60s and you have been postmenopausal for 10 or maybe more than 10 years, it's not too late to find out if hormone replacement therapy can help you. And so the hormonal changes that happen in our body affect the emotional state too. We start feeling, as I mentioned earlier, we can start feeling depressed. That's why there's postpartum depression. The reason for postpartum depression is not just because you just had a baby. It's because your hormones are fluctuating. And if it's a first baby, you are very new to all of this. I did not experience any postpartum depression, or at least I don't think that I did. It's hard to remember back, but I don't believe that I did. But again, hard to recall if what I was going through was something else. But the reason you hear women talking about PPD, postpartum depression, is because of the hormone fluctuation. And just like our hormones go crazy when we go through puberty, they start fluctuating again as we go through perimenopause, which is the precursor to menopause. It's like telling your body you are getting ready to go through menopause. And are you ready for this? And we're never ready. I wasn't ready for it, because if I was ready for it, I'd be better prepared. So I am on this podcast today to tell you about how to be better prepared. So if you are experiencing mood swings, anxiety, these types of emotions are going to cause tension in your marriage. You might get responses from your significant other or other people, maybe even your kids, going, "What's the matter with you? Why are you so sad? Why are you so cold?" And it's because we're experiencing these emotional fluctuations because everything in our body is ruled by our hormones. Our hormones control everything. So my biggest memory, as I mentioned, is that I was feeling anxious, depressed at 38, and they gave me Prozac. I don't want that to happen to you. If you are starting to feel like not yourself, I want you to go see a hormone expert, somebody who understands how to look at your biomarkers, your hormone levels, and to tell you what it can be. Maybe your hormones are balanced. Maybe you are going through a tough time in your marriage. But as long as you know how you're feeling inside, get your blood work done. Blood work shows everything, and you need to get your hormones checked. I tell everybody this every single day. Any person, any woman who could listen, or if I'm speaking to a man and he's complaining or concerned about his wife or his girlfriend sort of off, it's probably because of her hormone fluctuations that need to be balanced. And she might be hypersensitive, just the same way a woman might be hypersensitive or more tired than usual when she gets her period. But now it's showing up when she's not getting her period. The biggest sign that somebody is going through or starting perimenopause will either be these emotions, these emotional fluctuations. So it's important that you're really aware of your feelings and what's going on and explaining this to your significant other so they better understand you, that you're not suddenly a different person. It's just your hormones have taken over and it's time to get them balanced so you can go back to where you were when you felt really awesome all the time, because there's no reason for you to feel crappy about yourself and not to live your best life ever. And I know that sounds all, wonderful rainbows, puppy tails, and glitter, but I want you to remember what you felt like before you started going through this. If you are lethargic, but really, I wanted to specifically talk about the emotional part of it because a lot of women poo poo it. They say, I was just in a bad mood that day. Oh, my husband's getting on my nerves. Oh, my girlfriend's getting on my nerves. My significant other is being impatient with me. That's when it's really important to have that communication and say, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm going through right now. It could be perimenopause, but I need you to be patient. I need you to understand it. And this is what I'm going through. And give them the information so they can support you during this time. In addition to the emotional stresses and changes that you're having, you feel you're moody or you're tired all the time, there's also the physical symptoms, right? So we sometimes notice the physical symptoms more because we can't escape the physical, right? But the emotional, we could sort of put back in the back of our head and compartmentalize and say, oh, I was just in a bad mood that day, until you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm in a bad mood every day. And then you think to yourself, is it the relationship I'm in or is it me? Me meaning I need to look deeper into what's going on inside my body. And again, that's why it's so, so important to be able to have that open communication with your significant other. I did not have that in my marriage. We didn't talk like that. I'm not saying it was foreign to us, but we didn't really talk about, hey, I think I'm going through perimenopause. It just wasn't a thing. And it wasn't even a thing like my mother or my mother-in-law then would have said, hey, Jody, do you think maybe you're going through perimenopause? It wasn't a thing. And I want this to be a thing for you, which is why next Wednesday, November 13th at 12 o'clock Eastern time, I am going to be speaking about marriage and menopause with Becky Aste, who is an expert in marriage counseling and helping women overcome trauma in their marriages. And we have discussed in lots of detail the incredible dynamic connection between women going through menopause and what's going on in their marriage. And to be so aware of this. And that's why I wanted to talk about this today in the podcast, because it's so important that you understand that it's not you. It's first and foremost your hormones. So get your hormones checked, and then you can take care of the other things in your marriage. It would be like trying to put a Band-Aid on a leak and then it coming out over here, over there. You know how that goes. It doesn't stop the leak. But if you have a strong foundation in your marriage and in your health and wellness, then you will recognize these differences, these changes in your mind and body, and you can be proactive. And that is really what I want to stress. What I'm passionate about is to help women be proactive about their health and wellness, because menopause does disturb our life, but it doesn't have to disturb our life as much as it used to. And so regarding the physical symptoms, you might have hot flashes, you might have night sweats, you might have a decreased libido. And all of these things can affect your intimate relationship with your significant other. And then that really becomes a problem, because in marriage, in a relationship, we want to have that intimacy. So maybe the intimacy changes and the conversations change. And maybe the intimacy is more about cuddling. Although I will tell you that cuddling with a woman who's having a hot flash is very uncomfortable. But as long as you know what's going on, hey, I'm going through menopause, I'm going through perimenopause. I can't be cuddling right now, or I don't feel like having sex right now because I feel like shit. I ate like shit today. I didn't work out. I don't feel motivated. I don't feel sexy. And sex suddenly hurts. All of these things are so normal when you're going through menopause. And in order for you to get through it successfully without a lot of ups and downs, is to have a really, really understanding partner that you can discuss your feelings openly. Because I know a lot of women who have experienced men who get very offended if you don't want to have sex often. They don't understand the hot flashes or the night sweats. I know that I was mocked for the hot flashes and the night sweats. Um, it's really hard when you're in public and you're having a hot flash. And the night sweats really disturb your sleep. So the last thing on most women's minds are having sex, to be honest with you. But there can be other ways of having non sexual intimacy, hugging, holding hands, doing things together that are fun, dancing, watching TV, taking a walk. I know those might sound like ridiculous things and they may not seem very intimate, but intimacy is being into me, right? You want your partner to be into me. That's intimacy. It's not necessarily intercourse. So intimacy is not intercourse, it's intimacy. You're into me. And that's all you need from your partner. You want him or her to feel like they are into you. And that means doing activities together. Yes, I know you'll want to get back to having intercourse when you feel ready. And having that honest and open communication with your partner will definitely help. A lot of people from my generation didn't understand that, but times have changed and we're talking about menopause. But this is a way that it could affect your marriage negatively if you don't have the tools to discuss this really openly and vulnerably with your partner and give them information about menopause so they can better understand what you're going through. There's nothing like somebody being incredibly empathetic to what you're going through by giving them information so they could understand it better. I mean, a man is not going, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, a man's not going to just automatically understand what menopause is. But if you could explain it to them by listening to my podcast, by taking some of the advice that I give you, going to get your hormones checked, talking to a hormone expert, because they are the only ones that are going to help get your hormones under control. Because what? Our hormones control everything. I remember a million years ago, Jillian Michaels from the show The Biggest Loser. I don't know if any of you remember it. I think it was in the early 2000s that the show was on TV. And oh, I could go on and on about that show and what they did and how they yelled at everybody. But I remember hearing her in an interview years later saying, our hormones control everything. And I'll never forget that because I knew exactly what she was talking about. Your hormones control everything. They control your energy levels, they control your appetite, they control your focus, they control everything. And it's not too late to go on hormone replacement therapy if you are a candidate, and it's not too early to start. I have daughters in their 30s. And if they came to me and said, hey, mom, I feel off, I would tell them, and once they explained to me what off felt for them, I would tell them to go get their hormones checked. Because once you know that those levels, then you can take it to the next level and feel better. We go through so many hormonal changes. Think about it. From the time that we go through puberty, if we have children, it's while we're pregnant, all the hormones going crazy. Postpartum, then maybe another pregnancy, postpartum, again, perimenopause, menopause, and then you're in postmenopause for the rest of your life. Why not know now what your hormone levels are so they can be optimal for you for the rest of your life? You can get them to optimal levels, and it doesn't happen overnight. For me, my hormone levels were zero. As I've said, the tank was empty. And think about this: if your gas tank is empty in your car, are you just going to leave your car in the garage or out in the driveway? No, you're going to fill it up so you can drive it. It's the same thing with your hormones. If your tank is empty of progesterone, to testosterone, estrogen, just to name three, why aren't you going to fill it up? Hormone replacement therapy. I do bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and I've been doing it since I was 60, and I didn't start until I was 10 years postmenopausal. With all the hormonal changes that we go through affecting our mind and our body, there are many of us that start losing confidence. We look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't like what we see anymore. Maybe we've gained some weight. Maybe we've blamed it on having a baby. Maybe we're too tired to get to the gym or not motivated to even hire a trainer. And the cycle continues. And then we get really down on ourselves for not taking action to do anything. And that really, really affects our confidence and our self esteem. And having, again, somebody in your life that's very supportive, if you're married, if you're not married, a friend, a significant other, some kind of support system to help you with that confidence. I know that when I got divorced, sure, there were issues in the marriage and there were issues with my hormones that I didn't even discuss, that were not even on the forefront of my mind. But I came out of that marriage lacking self-esteem, lacking self-confidence. And a lot of menopausal women go through that. They look at old pictures of themselves and they go, oh, I was so fit back then, or look what I look like, and I want that energy back. And you get down on yourself and you think you're a piece of shit. And I'm here to tell you you're not. I'm here to tell you that you're beautiful and wonderful, and you're just going through menopause. And does it affect your marriage? Yeah. If you don't have that open communication, if you're not sharing information with your significant other and they don't understand what you're going through, because knowledge is power. So you both get educated and you both are there to support one another. You know how to talk to your significant other about what's going on, and he or she understands what you're going through. It's not easy. And as women, so often we don't want to admit that we're feeling vulnerable. We don't want to admit that maybe we're failing at something. Are we failing ourselves? No, we're not failing ourselves. It's menopause, and we just need to educate ourselves, and we need to take action to feel better. And every time we feel really crappy about ourselves, it does affect our relationships. Somebody might say something to you, and if you felt better about yourself, you wouldn't be so negative reactive, right? I know that when I have felt shitty about myself, if somebody says something that's maybe not perfect, I might react differently. And I know that I was like that during my 40s and 50s, not the whole time, not for 20 years, but I remember those fluctuations. And I've talked to you about being in a toxic relationship from my mid 40s to my early 50s. And I have to tell you that I was going through it. I was competing and I was in a toxic relationship. You know, that relationship that's on, off, on, off. That was me going through menopause. It was tough, you guys. It was really, really, really tough. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Had my hormones been balanced, I could have started with a clean slate. I was already starting a toxic relationship. I was already in a toxic relationship with imbalanced hormones. At least let's start with all the good stuff. Let's start with a great foundation: health, wellness, balanced hormones. And then you can look at the relationship. Is this a healthy relationship? But when you're going through menopause and your hormones are imbalanced, you're just grasping for straws. You just want a good day. You just want to be energetic. You want to just love yourself again. But if your person doesn't know what you're going through and they're giving you shit about the way you're acting and you don't even know why you're acting so crazy, then it's a fucking shit show. I did some crazy things in my 40s. And I think about this. If my hormones were balanced, I don't know if I would have done half of the things. And that was a lot of mood swings. And I'll be honest with you about that. So it's really important that you start, as with anything in life, you need to have a healthy foundation. That healthy foundation being regular exercise, healthy eating, balanced hormones. It's really that simple, but it's not that simple. And I get it. But I'm here to tell you that's what you need to do. You're working out regularly. You're taking time to meditate or journal. You're taking the time to eat healthy. You're taking the time to be involved with your friends and community and doing something that you love for work. You've got the foundation of a healthy woman, but your hormones are going up and down. That's something we need to recognize. That's not something we push away anymore. There's too much information out there, and I'm here to scream at you to tell you that you deserve better. You deserve to get those hormones balanced, because I don't want you to feel like you're going crazy, because you're not. It's not you, it's your hormones. And once we get those under control, then you could take care of, then you could see clearly. You take off the glasses, you're like, okay, healthy, hormones balanced. Now I can take care of my marriage. And I have shared with you what's going on in my relationship with my husband right now a little bit. If you're following me on Instagram or TikTok, you can see what I'm going through. And I left my husband to figure things out and for us to work things out, because I wasn't able to stay physically in the same place with him anymore, because getting away was going to give me some perspective and both of us some perspective and figure out if this was something we wanted to work on. So we're at that point right now. So as a postmenopausal woman, my hormones, for the most part, are pretty balanced because I've been on hormone replacement therapy for the last almost 4 years. And we're very close to optimizing them. So this time, it's not about having crazy hormonal levels. It's about really fucking knowing who I am and knowing what I want and knowing what I deserve and not waiting for somebody to change for me. Fuck no. I know what I want. And I want you to be in that same position, whether it's a work, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship. If you have all the tools and you are physically balanced, your hormones are balanced, you're working out, you're eating healthy, you can think straight now. You can't think straight if you have unbalanced hormones. Trust me, you can't. Do you see how this all goes together? If your hormones aren't balanced and you don't feel energetic and you feel depressed because you're not getting to the gym, you're not eating healthy, you start beating yourself up. I'm a piece of shit. Why can't I get to the gym? Why am I eating those Oreos? Why am I yelling at my kids? Why am I telling my husband to go fuck off? It's because I'm not going to blame it all on your hormones. Maybe you don't have a great marriage. Maybe your kids need to be disciplined more. Maybe you need to hire a trainer to help you. But there are a lot of all these missing pieces. But if your hormones are balanced, that's one less thing you don't have to worry about, right? Because if you're trying to do all these other things, work on your marriage, discipline your kids, make sure they're the best that they can be, take care of your parents, get to the gym, do a great job at work. And meantime, your hormones are like, bing, that's really hard to work like that. So you've got to get everything balanced first. Okay, I've said it 100 times. I think you get it. If you are in a relationship, if you have a friend, if you have anyone you know who is battling with confidence, lacking self-worth, feeling like they don't have direction in life, everything is annoying them, and they're just kind of lost and sad. And they're in their 40s or their early 50s or their late 30s, encourage them to get their hormones checked because I want you to work with a clean slate and I want you to be able to help them. I wish I had me back then. So I'm hoping I can be helpful to you in learning more about how to be proactive before you go through menopause. I think one of the hardest things, and I've touched upon it a few times already, but one of the hardest things for a woman to discuss when she feels like something's off and she hasn't figured it out and she hasn't thought that it was her hormones is how to communicate what she needs from her partner if she doesn't even know what she needs. Once she realizes that it could be her hormones and that she might be going through perimenopause, and this is the beginning of a whole new change in her life, it's really important that she communicates how she feels, not in an angry way. So if you're going through it right now, ladies, if you're in the throes of perimenopause and menopause and you feel like you're alone, you're not, you can reach out to me anytime. But I want you to say to your partner, to your friend, hey, I feel like shit. I don't know what's going on with me. I think it's my hormones. Just be patient with me. I love you. And I just need you to love me back because I feel like crap. And so many of us do feel like shit. And throw on the weight gain in our 50s, it's a terrible feeling. And especially, I've seen it with a lot of fitness girls, the girls that competed when I did. So I started competing at 47, and most of the girls that I knew were 27 or 23 or 22, were in their 20s. And now it's funny because I see them online and now they're in their 40s and they have their kids. And a lot of the girls, stayed fit and healthy. And then a lot of the girls struggled with their weight. And I feel for them because a lot of girls that compete do struggle with their weight because they think the only way they look good is in competition weight. And that's not true. But that's for another show. What I wanted to say about perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause is, and I've mentioned this a few times again, and I'm repeating these things because they're just vitally important. It's vitally important that one of the things that you need to have under your belt is to be prepared for menopause, is to be as healthy and fit as you can be, to be incorporating regular exercise, to be eating healthy 80% of the time, to include the three macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats. Reach out to me. I have a meal plan, Eat to Feel Younger. It has everything in there. It has meals that you can make, and it's a 21-day rotation of meals. I made it really, really easy so you can follow it. I don't cook. I don't like to cook. I don't like preparing meals, the whole thing. I don't enjoy any of it. So I made this as if it were made for me. Before you go through perimenopause, and this could happen mid to late 30s, but for the most part, it happens in the early 40s, but it could happen between 38 and 42. So if you're in your 30s and you want to get fit and healthy, you want to lower your body fat, you want to lower your body weight, you want to have a healthier BMI, get it done now. And if you need help, reach out to me. This is what I've been doing for 35 years. I've been helping women get healthy and fit. And most of the women that come to me are postpartum and postmenopause because they don't know what to do. They've tried everything. They want to be able to have all that energy to run after their kids. And the postmenopausal women want that energy to be able to run around with their grandchildren. So, one thing you can do for yourself that you will never, ever regret is to get to a healthy body weight and healthy body fat percentage, healthy BMI. Healthy BMI is your body mass index, and that healthy BMI is 25 and lower. So, if you could do anything today, I know we are talking about marriage and menopause here, but all of these things interact. At the foundation, I'm going to say this for the 10th time, you need to be healthy. And if you go into menopause without having control over your body weight and your body fat, and you haven't adopted healthy exercise habits or healthy eating habits, you're going to struggle during menopause, because when you lose estrogen, you lose progesterone, you lose testosterone, you can't eat the same way you ate in your 40s or 30s. You may not be able to exercise in your 50s the way you did in your 30s. Everything changes, even for me. I started working out in my 20s, and my workouts in my 30s were friggin' kick ass as my hormones were friggin' balanced. And then in my 40s, I still kicked ass in the gym, even though I was going through menopause. That's just me. I'm a weirdo. It's just me. But I will tell you that in my 50s, I was still pushing myself. I had my studio and I was training clients and I was teaching group classes. And I was doing spin classes, which I really hated, but I did because my then boyfriend taught them. Then I noticed that I gained weight. And I had always been the same weight since eighth grade. My body fat changed, of course, and with competing and hormones and everything changes. But I got on the scale one day and I was 10 pounds heavier than I've ever been in my life. And that was my wake up call. And I was around 52 at the time. And I was like, wait a minute, am I one of those postmenopausal women? And even though I had exercised my whole life and I was eating healthy my whole life, I had to make adjustments. And what I'm saying is that if I had to make adjustments and fitness has been my whole life, then more than likely you'll need to make adjustments too. And that's okay. It's called pivoting. Knowing when we need to make changes is very smart. I thought I was fine because my boyfriend at the time was like, you're hot, you're sexy. And I'm like, yeah, I got this, I got this. And then I get on the scale one day and I'm like, holy shit, I am now a postmenopausal woman. I am that postmenopausal woman that has gained 10 pounds. And I said, nope, that's not going to happen to me. And I changed my diet around. Now, given my background, I knew how to do that. But I'm just sharing with you that I did gain 10 pounds. And 10 pounds on a 5-foot person is a lot of weight. So as you age, you do need to make adjustments. You do need to pivot. Maybe I need to do more HIIT workouts in my 40s and 30s. Maybe I need to do more strength training in my 50s. Maybe I do less cardio in my 50s and 60s because I don't want to lose the muscle that I've built all of these years. I will tell you that cardio in my 30s was different than cardio in my 40s. In my 40s and early 50s, while I was going through menopause, I was doing HIIT workouts. I hate HIIT workouts. I was lifting heavy. In my 30s, I was doing a little bit of cardio. And now in my 60s, I'm only doing a little bit of cardio, but my diet has always been tight in between, except for when I was going through menopause. In my early 50s, I was postmenopausal and it just got away from me. So I want you to understand that the foundation of feeling good has to do with including regular exercise, strength training, some HIIT workout if you want to do that. There are studies that show that it's beneficial for women to do some type of HIIT workout for like 4 minutes and doing some jumping exercises. Personally, I do some jumping. I will do some HIIT workouts, 20 minutes on, 40 minutes off, but that's only for 4 minutes. It is not what I like to do. I do it because I want to age very healthy. And I'm already postmenopausal. I'm already on hormone replacement therapy. So I already have everything that I need to do. It's up to me now. Hormone replacement therapy doesn't help you lose weight. It doesn't give you a fit body. What it will do is increase your energy, help you sleep better. So if you're sleeping better, you will have more energy and hopefully will be motivated to go to the gym. And once you start getting motivated to go to the gym, you're going to want to eat better. Makes sense, right? And those endorphins that you release while you're working out, also hormones, are going to make you feel better about what you're doing. So all of this is connected. Exercise, hormones, relationships. The key to making your life wonderful is that open communication, being educated, listening to podcasts like this, and understanding that you have the power in your hands to change the way you want to go through menopause. It's not your grandmother's menopause. It's not your mother's menopause. It's your menopause. And you have the power to change it. I believe that in the next 10 years, some women won't even experience menopause because they'll be on hormone replacement therapy and they'll never experience, yes, they'll go through menopause because they'll stop getting their period. Well, but maybe even not, I don't know. But they may not ever experience a hot flash. They may never experience mood swings or hot flashes or night sweats. They may never ever experience any of that because of the discussion we're having about hormone replacement therapy and having a wonderful marriage, because going through menopause does affect your marriage, but it doesn't have to affect your marriage in a negative way if you communicate openly and lovingly and being vulnerable and sharing information with your significant other so they can better understand what you're going through and can support you. I wanted to share with you this study. It's an impact of menopause on marital satisfaction from the Journal of Women's Health. Its a study published in the Journal of Women's Health explored how menopausal symptoms can lead to marital distress if not managed through open communication and mutual support. Couples who approach menopause as a shared experience tended to report higher satisfaction, while those who avoided discussing menopause related issues faced higher rates of emotional disconnection and dissatisfaction. This is why it's so important to have that open discussion with your significant other. Another survey from the American Menopause Society surveyed reported that 70% of women experiencing menopause felt a shift in intimacy with their partners due to symptoms like fatigue, low libido, and mood swings, which I've discussed a lot here today. The survey found that women who openly communicated these challenges with their partners felt more supported and connected than those who tried to handle them alone. And I'll leave you with a quote. Menopause isn't just a woman's journey. It's a journey for her partner too. When couples face it together, they find a new level of understanding and intimacy that strengthens the relationship. That's from Esther Perel, relationship therapist and author. It's a time of change that can be uncomfortable and confusing, but it also offers opportunity for growth and for redefining what intimacy means to you and your partner. Dr. Christian Northup, the author of Wisdom of Menopause. So there is a lot of information out there to help you navigate through menopause, either by yourself or with your husband in your marriage or your significant other, so they can better understand what you're going through so you can live a fearlessly authentic life, because I only want you to be you. You are wonderful and beautiful and special, and I don't want you to think anything else differently about yourself. When we are educated and empowered, we can share that information with others and we can live the life that we deserve. So thank you for listening today. And until next week, go live your most fearlessly authentic life. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe. I'll see you next week.